Yeah, you get what you deserve. Watching them talk about their businesses and working hard, and I learned a lot from that. And the best form of advertising is word of mouth. You can get 100 flyers in the mail, but if your mate tells you that this place is amazing, then you're going to go.
Welcome back to another episode of the Hanging with Hardcore podcast. We are up to episode 37 today.
Episode 37, guys.
Episode 37. We've had a lot of people ask for another guest podcast. And we've been looking, we've been trying, and today we found the man himself.
We got him.
So usually on podcasts, we'd have some elaborate intro, or you see some elaborate intro, but we've gone with something ever so slightly different for you today.
Nice.
And to intro you, we have a story from your daughter, actually. She has written her point of view of you and your life and what you have done. So this is John's introduction. John is a man full of grace, wisdom, and understanding. A self-made entrepreneur who started off with nothing. His early life was not characterized by riches. Starting his career as a baker, a kitchen hand, and a pizza delivery man. After working 13-hour days, juggling school, a wife, and kids, he eventually bought a little Italian restaurant off his brother. While the turnover was little to nothing, the dream of success was still the forefront of his mind. After years and years of spending money back into his business, he was able to create an award-winning, successful restaurant. To most, the idea of success was how much money they could have in their pockets. For John, it was all about seeing how far he can take it to see his business flourish into something amazing. The road to success was not easy. The sacrifice he and his family went through was beyond extraordinary. While some people are born into money, there are people like John, where the road to riches is a long and seemingly impossible one. It is the story of John which serves as true testament of the power of the entrepreneurial spirit and the true value that can be derived from underlying determination and implementing grand goals.
Wow. Thanks, Jen.
How does that make you feel? From words from your daughter.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's really good. It's paying off.
Absolutely. So we're in this beautiful home, and
thank you.
This is something you've worked to build, and you worked on the design itself. And
a part of it, a big part of it. The actual structural design was by an architect engineer.
Yeah.
But the internals, my wife and myself really put our own thoughts and ideas and sourced a lot of the materials ourselves. Did a lot of running around, but it was fun. It was exciting. It was good.
Absolutely.
Learned a lot through the construction of the restaurant and implemented it into the house. So it's good.
Absolutely. So throughout the podcast, we'll throw up some pictures of the restaurant that you created and successfully ran. And there's a lot of similar details. The lighting.
LED lighting, the timber paneling. So.
Yeah. And I mean, it clearly works. You got a successful run home, a successful run business.
Yeah, no, it was good. Exciting. It was like the whole construction. It was difficult as well because it was during the COVID period, the building of the house.
Yeah.
And also we lost one of our arms, the income of the restaurant as well at the same time. So, but we, like everything, we just pushed through it and we got through. So, and now we're here.
Absolutely. That's, from the introduction, that seems like one of the things that's been big in your life, pushing through and keeping on going.
Yeah. It's just, you keep getting hit with hurdles and you just keep jumping, keep moving forward.
So I got a question for you, John. When you were younger and growing up, did you ever think you'd be here, like where you are right now?
I don't know where I am in particular, that idea, but I always felt I was, sounds a bit, I was going to say something else. Sounds a bit funny, but I just knew I was destined for success. Like I just knew that you put your head down, you just keep working and do the right thing. Eventually you'll get what you want and what you deserve. I think is far more important. I think, you get what you deserve. And if you do the right thing, it sort of comes your way and we push through it.
And where do you think that drive came from?
Well, I started working when I was about 13. I'm the youngest of 10. So I had 4 older brothers in business. So watching them talk about their businesses and working hard and what their families went through is just like, I learned a lot from that. The inspiration just to work hard. I mean, Dad came out in 1969 to Australia from Lebanon and he was working 15-hour days just to support his family back home and to make sure he had enough money and bought a house to bring him over. So it's always been instilled with us. And Dad's theory was if you're not going to get an education, then you just work hard. And that was his idea. I mean, all my siblings have pretty much the same attitude. I think the only difference between what I did and created and difference between, I mean, they're all successful. Don't get me wrong. They're all doing quite well in business. But for me, it was more not how much the business can give me that particular time. I kept pumping money back into the business. And it was, for me, it was the long goal, the long jeopardy. It wasn't just about there and then. I think that was the only difference. But yeah, the inspiration to work hard has always been just a way of life for us, I think, is instilled in our DNA.
Yeah. What gave you that mindset to have that delayed gratification of just reinvesting back into the business?
I just felt that the business was there for more. I wanted to capitalize on every square inch I had in that property. I was paying the rent, so I wanted to make sure that it was giving me its full capacity. And it just kept hitting 100% of that full capacity, and then we pushed it to the next level and just kept pushing it. We started with straight takeaway. We opened a 20-seater restaurant within the same property. Then we opened 40-seater, and then that wasn't big enough. And then we had the ability to buy next door and develop that. So yeah, you just got to keep, we kept pushing it. I just knew it was a nice one. The shop's been there since the early 70s. So it wasn't something we opened. It's been there forever. And it was one of the first pizza shops in the area.
Yeah.
So just knew that, I don't know, with a bit of, I don't like to say the word luck, but yeah, it was just something there and it just worked. Right place, right time, maybe.
You earned that luck by doing the work.
I think so. I think you make the right decisions and you put the right foot forward, and people say it's luck, but it's still your decision at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. Was it always profitable?
No, definitely not. I mean, there were nights where I was paying staff out of my own pocket.
Yep. Yeah.
And I was overstaffed for that particular, but that's where I knew I needed to be.
Yeah.
You know, instead of keeping the customer waiting 20 minutes, I'd make them wait 10 minutes. You know,
that's brilliant.
Instead of the phone ringing 3 times, I'd say, guys, the phone needs to only ring once. You don't put people on hold. You answer the call. Had 3 people answering, 2 people answering. Had 3 drivers on when you probably only needed 2. But it didn't matter. My philosophy was you do the right thing by half a dozen people. Those half a dozen people are going to bring you another dozen on top of that.
Yeah.
It's just that cycle. And the best form of advertising is word of mouth.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can get 100 flyers in the mail, but if your mate tells you that this place is amazing, then you're going to go.
Yeah.
100%.
Where does that, sorry to cut you off, where does that level of hospitality come from? Like,
I think it came from just watching mum growing up.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, she never worked in the restaurants or in food, but just the way she ran her home, just the way she treated people when they came in. You know, she always had a pot on the stove. She always had her apron on. She always answered, she didn't have to answer the door because the door was always open.
Yeah, right.
No, literally,
Wow.
she'd never have the front door closed. Like the front door, from the minute she woke up in the morning, the front door was open.
Wow.
Always providing.
Yeah, so it was just that. And when people walk through your front door, they're there for a reason. Obviously, they're hungry or they want to buy something, but they're there for you to serve them. And when people visit you, they're coming to see you, but that warmth, that environment is very important. So that's where I think I got it from. And my wife was the same thing. Her home was exactly the same. She lived next door to her cousins. And when you'd go to visit them, you wouldn't know whose house was who. Like all the doors were open, kids running everywhere. It was just, it was the same sort of feel.
So if you had like a lesson that you learned from your parents that you could pass on to your kids or even the younger generation, what would that be? Would that be like be welcoming or?
Definitely if you're talking about hospitality, then definitely, you treat people like you would treat your guests in your own home. We're talking about other philosophical ways of teaching your kids, then that's a different thing altogether. But confidence is very important, like you were saying earlier when I asked you about how things were going, and you said you're feeling a lot more confident now to take that next step. And I think that's That's definitely a thing. There's a difference between being confident and arrogant. You don't want to be arrogant because then you never learn.
Yeah.
If you just won't move forward. But if you're confident and you're confident within what you're doing, then you're still able to absorb other people's karma or ideas or thoughts.
Yeah.
But arrogant is a different thing altogether.
And where do you think that confidence comes from?
Just within yourself, really. You got to be open-minded as well, which is what separates arrogance from confidence. When you're arrogant, you think you're never wrong.
Yeah.
Being confident doesn't mean that you're not wrong. Just means you're confident in your idea, but you're ready to absorb. I mean, I'm 50 years old. I've been doing this since I was 13, but doesn't mean I got a 20-year-old chef and I still absorb his ideas and his thoughts.
Mm.
I may not agree with everything he has, but I might pick up one thing from this kid and it's made me a better person and a better restaurateur. So that's, confidence comes within.
Yeah.
And you need, success also brings that little bit.
Yeah,
of confidence.
by achieving things, you actually have the confidence.
My ideas are working. I'm on the right track, and that sort of snowballs and gets bigger and bigger. And then at the same time, you don't let it get too big that it turns to arrogance.
For sure. There's always room to grow.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you say that's like one of the biggest assets that you have is your constant desire to learn?
Yeah, I would say so. And no obstacle is too big. That's the other thing. You can literally walk through walls, I think, if you have that right mindset.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You can. There's nothing really stopping you. The only thing that can stop you is yourself, is how far are you willing to push it? How far are you willing to go? How many hours are you prepared to lose sleep? How many friends are you prepared to say no to along the way? That I can't go out. I can't do this. I can't. And your partner is if you do have a partner, your partner is very important in that drive and that confidence boost. Mm. You're around people that are going to shoot you down every idea you have. Then maybe you need to change the people you're with.
So when you were starting the business, how important was like having a work-life balance to you? Like,
there was no work-life balance. It was just work.
Yep.
Yeah.
There was no balance. It was all one-sided.
Just work balance. Balance is overrated. Balance work. So what did it look like for you though? When you say there's no work-life balance, like if you can
I never picked up the kids from school.
Yeah.
I never dropped the kids off to school.
Yeah.
I never read them stories at school.
Yeah.
I never went on excursions with the kids to school.
Yeah.
But in saying that as well, when I did have the time, we did spend time together and we did things. So, I mean, not great things. We never really went on a family holiday until the kids were probably in their teens. I think the first real holiday we went to was in Queensland and they were in their teens when everyone was going to Queensland and surface when they were just toddlers, like babies. So
was it all worth it?
100%. And I think the kids feel that it was worth it. I don't think they feel it because, like I said, I had an amazing wife and she went above. She was the mum and the dad and everything for them at that time. And she instilled in them as well that, dad's not out gambling or partying or he's at work. He's
building.
Yeah. So, and they appreciate it. Maybe then they sort of felt like, where's dad?
Yeah.
But now definitely they appreciate it and respect it. I mean, they all put them all through private schools, helped them buy their cars and maintain them. They're all working, doing quite well for themselves now and have that same mindset. I mean, Jen, the one that wrote the introduction today, she was doing 50, 60 hours a week between her pharmacy job and the restaurant.
Jen's just sitting behind the camera.
Yeah.
She's got a little smile on her face. She's just going, shout out.
Damn right I was, Dad. Damn right.
My oldest Antoinette's living in Sydney now. She's she's getting married. She's got a full-time job now and she was doing the same thing. She'd come over on the holidays and run the bar for me.
Oh, wow.
My son's the same thing. He comes in when he needs to come in and does what he needs to do. So they all appreciate hard work. And I think if my biggest asset and anything I could pass on to them is that, because then now that will get passed on to their kids or their families and they'll move forward. There's no point feeding someone if you don't teach them how to fish, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I've basically taught them how to fish. So they should be able to grow and move forward.
Yeah.
I started with nothing. They've got something to work from, and so they should move forward. So do I regret it? No, not at all.
And that's through the combination of, say, them watching you work hard, and obviously your wife, Suzine, teaching them and, you know, following up on that lesson and, you know, helping them understand this is why dad's not here. This is why he's not putting you to sleep, because he's putting food on your table.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we look, don't get me wrong as well. I don't regret doing what I did because I am where I'm at.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd regret it even if I didn't achieve what I've achieved, because I've always instilled in myself and the kids and my family that you go through life with no regrets or little to none regrets. So if I didn't make it, sounds a bit cliche, but I can say to myself that I gave it a crack.
Yeah.
And I gave it my all, and it is what it is. And then I'll keep working to feed my family and do what I have to do. So it's not, I don't regret it because I'm successful. The kids may have regretted it because I didn't do what I did or get to where I'm at, because they missed out on both sides of the world.
Yeah.
But for me personally, I don't regret it either way. Yeah, I am what I am, and I did what I had to do. If it worked for me, so that's great.
Yeah.
If it didn't work for me, then I gave it a crack. So.
Yeah.
What was your motive behind these grand goals? Your reason, your purpose? Was it money? Is there more to it?
Not so much money. It was just, I believe you're here for something.
Yeah.
You can't just live your life and not reach your full potential or try to achieve your full potential. So you can't live your whole life. And like they say, a person on a deathbed says, the last thing they say is, I should have worked harder. Everyone says, I should have worked less. Whereas I don't believe that. I believe you do what you got to do and try to achieve the most you can achieve. At least that way you can finish off with little to no regrets.
Yep.
So it wasn't, the success and money is something that we all inspire.
Comes later. Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't have that purely as your main focus. Otherwise it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Because the tiredness, those hurdles that you have to cross, you just keep pushing.
Yeah. While you were going through the grind, what was going through your mind at that time? Like when you were away from your family for so long?
You do hit the wall. You do have days where you look, I just can't do this anymore. Like it's just too much. The pressures of the business and finances and raising capital, which is probably what you guys are you hit the wall, but you just push through it. And that's what, so who wouldn't rather be sitting at home with their wife and kids having dinner at 6:30, 7 o'clock rather than coming home at 11 o'clock at night, tired, stressed out. So you hit the wall.
Did you have like a network of like-minded people at that time that you could?
No, it was purely me.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was purely me. The people that I was surrounded by actually didn't say I don't know what they were saying behind my back, but even to me, they were saying, you're overcapitalizing, you're doing too much, just milk it, make as much as you can, move on.
Milk it.
Really?
Yeah, well, that's basically their idea. Their concept of running a business was just, instead of having 4 people on, have 2. Why are you wasting $100 a night?
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? So it was that mentality. And so really, no, it was just me.
Where are those people today, right?
Well, they're like I said, they're doing okay, but have they reached their full potential? Did they capitalize on what they had? No.
Yeah.
Are they on a Hardcore Headstart podcast?
Next week.
Next week. You see, there's a major difference in like our business thinkers, people who want to like skimp on costs and try and save as much money as possible and take as much money out of the business. And then people who are willing to, as you were saying earlier, delay that gratification and just pour as much as possible back in to grow the pie even larger, which is seemingly what you've done.
I just think that they're not businessmen.
Yeah.
They're not future entrepreneurs. They're not someone that's going to change the face of whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
They're people that couldn't work for somebody, so they bought a business to make a little bit of extra money to have a nicer car or a nicer house. But they're not businessmen. No, they're not. Not to say that I am. I mean, I'm a mixture. I'm in that generation or that group of people where I'm still stuck in the middle.
Right.
Unlike what you guys are trying to achieve, which is my hat off to you, grow and grow and grow in more and more than one business. I'm still stuck in that mentality where I still wear my apron. I'm still in there. I still got to make the sauces, and that will run out. That you will end up hurting doing what you're doing physically. Not so much mentally. I still enjoy it, but physically your body starts to pay the price.
Tear down. So you're talking about the idea of scaling beyond yourself.
Yeah.
So like you personally can't.
Delegating. Yeah, basically.
You can't run 5 restaurants by yourself.
Turning my back on one and having that sort of, I couldn't do it, and I don't think I can. It's just not me.
So would you say you enjoy just being in the day-to-day of the operations more than top level and
I think
managing through the business? You like actually?
Yeah, I like being, getting my hands dirty.
Yeah.
Nah, with the knowledge and experience that you have now, if you were to go back to like your 22-year-old self, how would you do things?
Good question. I would definitely focus more on training.
Yeah, that's
training of your staff.
Definitely, focusing more on getting the right people to work in your business rather than just filling that gap. Out of 20 people you might have working for you, might be that one person, but focusing my time and energy on that one person.
Yeah.
And that's probably one of the main things I would change, knowing what I know now, because then I wouldn't have had to sell the restaurant, for example. I'd have 5 restaurants going now because I had a good crew. I had a really good crew starting off, and I trained them really well, and they were doing exactly what I would normally do even if I wasn't there, but I still couldn't let it go.
Yep. So when you're hiring, for example, what are the things that have changed over time when you're looking to hire a person? Like the traits of that person or the skills or the...
Yeah, like originally when I was working the way I was working, I still am, but as hard as I was before, I was just looking for that one person that I couldn't get to that job. So if I couldn't answer the phone, then I needed to get someone just purely to answer the phone. I'd still do everything else. My main thing was in the interview, which was silly, was I'm not here for you. You're not here to run my business. I run my business.
Okay.
And I'm not here for you to do my job. I'm here for you're here to do the job I can't get to.
Right.
Which is wrong.
Yeah.
I say that right now. And the difference is now is what are you going to bring to the business in the interview?
Fantastic.
Why am I going to hire you and pay you money unless I'm going to benefit or the business is going to benefit?
Yeah.
How are you going to benefit the business and help us grow and take pressure off me?
Yeah.
Whereas before is like, don't worry about my pressure. Don't worry about running the business. You just do your little bit and I'll be fine.
And when you changed that idea of the kind of person you're looking for, did the quality of human actually go up?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah,
it did, definitely. I saw it more in the restaurant than anything else. But again, I was overshadowing them.
Okay.
And indirectly with the way I work, I can be intimidating as well. I've had chefs that are 20 years older than me and I still was able to intimidate them or make them feel, which is wrong. Like nothing I'm proud of now. I was before.
You've come a long way.
I'm nothing I'm proud of now.
Like, John's changed a bit.
Yeah. So I should have let them go. Let them do what they got to do.
Let them innovate. Let them have some sort of flexibility and autonomy kind of stuff.
So that's what I would change.
So you would focus more on the company culture?
Definitely, yeah. Which is why I take my hat off to you guys, because that's where your main focus is at the moment, is developing that. And the training and being able to turn your back on the business, and not completely, obviously.
Yeah.
You always need to have your finger in the pie, basically, to make sure it keeps running right. But yeah, no, it's the only way you're going to keep growing.
Yeah, from listening to a lot of the restaurateurs, the way they structure, people believe in hospitality or in customer service things, the way you should focus, the way you should look at, say, the different kind of people, where you got customers, employees, all that kind of thing. And the way to prioritize them should always be employees first.
100%.
You focus on your employees are going to satisfy your customers. You satisfy your customers, then your investors and everyone else down gets paid.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you
No,
would
for
agree
sure.
with that?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I've backed my staff in front of clientele 100%, even if I thought they were slightly wrong.
Right.
Only because that client may or may not come back, and I'm not going to forego years of hard work in front of my staff just to please that one person.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that staff member is pleasing hundreds on a daily basis.
Right. Yeah.
So you need to give them that confidence that you've got their back as well.
Yeah.
Do you also take that the ownership that I was the person that hired this staff because I thought they were the right person for the job?
Yeah. Right.
So that's why you keep backing your
I
employees.
do, yeah. I mean, there comes a point where you got to say, look, mate, this is not working out.
Yeah.
You need to,
If every customer's coming complaining about this guy, then
for
there's something
sure.
wrong with the guy, not the
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, if it's 1 in 100 or 1 in 1,000, then you got to give them the benefit of the doubt. And
Were you a person that hired more than fired, or?
definitely, yeah. I never really, I don't enjoy firing, and it's not, I don't believe in, you've brought this person in. If I don't like them and they're not doing the right thing, then yeah, you obviously have to let them go. But I've always thought of myself as someone that hired more than fired.
You'll give them a chance.
Yeah,
Prove
you have
themselves.
to. Yeah. I mean, I believe in my gut instinct, and generally when I have someone working for me for the first couple of days, you sort of know. I don't know. For me, I sort of knew. I had a feeling like this is not going to work. Like he's not going to fit in. She's not going to fit in. It's not the right place for them. And then yeah, you sort of let them go that way. But yeah, I try to keep them as long as I can. Hard to find. Good people are hard to find.
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say is like the difference of like hiring now versus when you were hiring back then?
I think back in the day,
Here we go.
Here we go.
These younger generation kids.
This is for us.
look, there is no difference really.
Right.
It's just about finding the right person. There were lazy people when I was growing up. There are lazy people now. There are people with ideas and thoughts now just as much as there were before.
Yeah.
I think now the mindset of a lot of people is it's just too hard.
Mm.
Buying that house is just too hard. Buying that car is just too hard. Going on that holiday and saving for it is just too hard. I think that's a lot of that is going on.
Victim mentality.
Do you guys agree? Today, people want more, but they're willing to sacrifice less.
100%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We want a
Yeah.
Lamborghini in a week,
Yeah.
but we only want to put in 10 hours.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's my
That's so
kids
wrong.
got sick of me saying this over and
Yeah.
over again, and it became so repetitive that sacrifice is everything.
Yep.
Everyone is capable, I believe, of accomplishing more than what I've done. But how far are you willing to push yourself? How much are you willing to give up to get to that point? And exactly right. Like now, no one wants to sacrifice.
Yeah, correct.
Or
Yeah.
very little.
Yeah.
That's the issue. I think not just now, but even when I was growing up, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, my mates were going out till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning every second night, and I was baking bread.
You're grinding.
Yeah.
So don't get me wrong, they're doing quite well, all of them. And a white picket fence, 2.5 kids, which is great. Like I'm not knocking that at all. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
It's each to their own.
Yeah.
And it's a credit to them that, you know, they're able to do what they've done. But for me, that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
I think that sacrifice needs to be backed by a bigger goal. Like for you, it might have been your family. You needed to provide for them. For those that aren't sacrificing, they just want the money, right? That short term.
It's the Gucci and it's the dress code. It's the cars. It's the where you're clubbing tonight or which cafe are you having breakfast at, or it's that thing. I noticed it at the restaurant. Every person or every second person would come in and it's just click, 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 click.
Yeah.
TikTok, Instagram, social media. This is what we're having.
Yep.
And and then barely getting through uni or barely getting through their jobs or barely getting through life. So it is. And just on that point, I don't like to, and I really don't like when people in my generation or even older say, I'm doing what I'm doing for my kids.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I did what I did for me, for myself, for my own inspiration, for my own goals.
I rate that.
At the same time, I didn't pass it on, obviously. So they did benefit from my grind and my goal setting, but I didn't do that. I didn't, and that's the honest truth. I did it because it's in my DNA, and I would not be any other person had I not gotten married and had kids. The only difference would be, honestly, I would probably have another 10 shops.
Yeah.
Because I had no reason to come home and no one to give me that extra special care or that love. So in saying that, I don't either way, but it wasn't, and I don't like using that as an excuse.
You don't have any regrets?
No,
not at all.
Not at all.
That's important.
You see people who like the idea of the family, but they have big ambitious goals, things they want to achieve in life, but they never go on to actually achieve them because they prioritize family maybe too young, or maybe having a wife, holidays and stuff like that. And they end up resenting.
That's an excuse.
Yeah, they end up resenting.
Yeah.
They use it as an excuse and end up resenting their family, their partner.
You stop
can
me
let
from
me
doing
achieve.
it,
Yeah, and it's like you're in control.
Oh, look, I could be wrong. I don't know, but in my idea, that is an excuse.
Yeah.
They had the wrong partner.
Absolutely.
You weren't able to express yourself in the right manner.
Yeah.
To be able to do what you felt you needed to do.
Absolutely.
Or if you really had that ambition and that goal, then you shouldn't have gotten married. You shouldn't have had a family.
Yeah.
So the honesty that you had with yourself, like, my wife is amazing. How did you develop that honesty?
That took a while. I mean, we got married quite young. We were 22 years old. We met overseas. She came here. She left her whole family. And the first few years were very difficult. We were living with my parents. I didn't have a car, so I was using my dad's car. I'd often have to take money off him to put petrol in there or buy cigarettes when I was silly enough to smoke, which I don't anymore. Cigarettes, that is.
Shisha. You smoke
shisha. So it was difficult, and through the loss of our first child as well, made it even harder. And she persisted. Most women would have headed for the hills. Like she would have, any other woman would have taken off. But she persisted just as much as I did. She persisted in our relationship, whereas I persisted in my work. My escape was my work and her escape was her family. And then as we grew together, we basically grew together. Coming from a young family, very clingy family as well, was difficult to break those chains.
Yeah.
It was a lot easier for her because she left them overseas, whereas for me, when you're youngest of 10 and you have 40 odd nephews and nieces and living with your parents, it's very difficult to break that clinginess.
How did you have money for gifts?
It was Christmas. God damn.
There was no gifts basically. So
G needs some personal advice.
John ran with the my
generally,
presence is your present.
We generally just gave a gift like once things were better and things were. We gave a gift to one of the kids.
Yeah.
Not to every single kid. Or a gift that they all could share.
Yeah.
So that's what we generally did.
Just picked a favorite.
Yeah, no, because we all sort of were godfathers to each of, a nephew or niece. They
Yeah.
sort of,
Yeah.
so it was just easy. You just gave it. And then every kid got a gift basically. So
I think it's really important. That key takeaway for that is you need a rock behind you. Like you said, you had no
100%.
network,
Yeah.
but I think your
But that
network
was-
was your wife.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I'd come home 11, 12 o'clock at night and she'd have something prepared.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
eat,
Yeah. She
Even though I
understood.
just came from a restaurant or a
Yeah.
shop, you have enough of eating pizza and pasta.
That was
Yeah.
going to be a question. Do you even like pizza?
No, I do. Yeah.
Like
I'll eat
eating it
anything. Yeah,
itself.
I mean, I'll even have pizza with pineapple on it, believe it or not. So,
God
it's-
damn.
Really?
You're going to get chewed up on the internet for that one.
yeah. No, I mean, I'll try and you can't feed people and not eat it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I've had chefs with religious beliefs or just personal beliefs where they won't eat beef or pork or they're vegan, and I'm hat off to them. I respect that. I got no issue with that. But how can you feed someone something you can't taste?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
100%.
So you need to there are things that you need to give up and push aside for the success of your business or your job, your profession, I think. And a lot of these guys couldn't do it. I'm dealing with a chef now that won't eat beef. So how do you taste?
Yeah, you can't.
How do you know he put a steak on the grill the other day and he was, I go, mate, it's already dead. You can't kill it any more than it's already been.
Smacking it on the
Yeah,
grill.
I go, you can't kill it any it's dead. And then I had to explain the whole red meat and turning it on the grill. And he was good. Like he understood it. He listened. He was, receptive to it. But okay, it's not like chicken. Chicken you can turn 50,000 times on the barbecue.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter. It's not going to change. But so just things like that.
Yeah.
You have to really, whereas if I wasn't there, mate, the guy would have gotten a piece of rubber. He goes, but it's well done. I go, it doesn't mean it needs to be dry. Like, So just things like that. You need to, put those things, try it, taste it, see what, you don't have to eat it all the time, but
Need to understand quality.
So
Yeah,
if I were
sure.
to take a step back and ask about your siblings, so you said you had 10 siblings, right?
10, yeah.
Were they all in business or?
They're all in hospitality. All my
Wow.
brothers and sisters are in hospitality. A couple in Adelaide, actually three in Adelaide. Yeah. They all own either takeaway pizza shops or restaurants. They did fruit shops, milk bars, which convenience stores now.
Yep.
Fish and chips. But yeah, pizza and pasta was the main thing
Yeah, wow.
that we got into. Some of their kids, like my nephews and nieces, are still in the game.
Yeah.
A lot of them, we pushed them out and they're in professional union,
Corporate.
sort of
path.
thing.
Yep.
They're all doing quite well.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of them came through me, like they'd work with me for a little bit just to, some of them adapted my mentality. Not many of them did. Unfortunately, they sort of took on their parents' sort of ideas, which is fine. They're running a shop, doing okay. Bought a wage, basically.
Yeah.
For a lot of them, bought a good wage, and they're doing okay.
Yeah.
Did you seek a mentor in any of them?
In my brother, my
Brothers,
second
sisters.
eldest brother,
Yep.
Joe. He was the one I bought Piccolinos from.
Yep.
I started working for him when I was 13.
Oh, wow.
And his ideology, and I picked up a lot from him. His main thing was he always used to say, do as I say, not as I do. Because he knew that not that he was doing the wrong thing, but he knew what needed to be done, but just couldn't do it. Look, there's a lot of, it's easy for me to sit back and say, you got to do this, you got to do that. But you got to see the environment what tools you've been given, what ingredients you've been given to be able to make this sauce, for example. If your tools and your ingredients are limited, which means the people that are around you and his partner, his kids, his in-laws, that sort of thing, when that is pushing you down, you sort of you just want to tread water and get by. So it's easy for me to say I did what I did because I'm a genius. No, it's not. I was given the right tools and the right ingredients at the right time, at the right temperature
Yeah.
to make this great sauce or cook this great pizza.
Yeah.
And you had confidence
Yeah.
in your ability.
He had the confidence. I think with him, it was a little bit more on the arrogant side of things.
Yep.
But yeah, he always used to say, do as I say, not as I do.
It's pretty good self-awareness. I think people struggle with self-awareness. Like, they're like, just do exactly what I do and you'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah. No, he knew that. And yeah, he was my mentor. And I did a lot of what he said.
Yeah.
He was actually one of the people that said, why are you doing this restaurant? Like, it's just too much. It's too much for the area. Because a lot of people like their safety net.
Yep.
They like that security, that X amount at the end of the week. And I know I'm going to do that, which is why a lot of people, which is fine. Because if it wasn't for people like that, we wouldn't be able to do what we did.
Yeah.
So is that like they don't have the mindset to grow it? They just want to maintain it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They just want to, it's quite comfortable. I'm not going to put my thing on the line and do what I got to do and then jump to that next level.
Yeah.
I feel like those people, they're the ones that complain about not having the big things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
They're not daring to dream.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people look at me now saying, oh, man, he's so lucky. Like he's, he's doing this and he's, he did that. And hang on a minute. When I was doing 14, 15, 16 hour days, 7 days a week, I didn't have a day off for 7 years straight.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's including Christmas, Good Friday, New Year's Day, New Year's Eve. Like, I'm talking 365 days a year.
Yeah.
7 days a week, 7 years straight. Like, where were you? Like, you had your 2 weeks off. You were going to Bali and Fiji and doing these things. And, my kids were sweltering in the heat in the house with not even a blow up pool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not luck. It's sacrifice. Going back to what Joel said, it's sacrifice.
Like intentional
Did your
work.
siblings all have the same mindset as you?
No.
Yeah.
No, they didn't. They preferred that. I mean,
Purity,
everyone wants it, like what Joel was saying. Everybody wants it, but they're not prepared to give up for it.
Yeah.
The unhappiest person is a person who's ambitious but lazy.
Yeah.
They want all these things, but they're not willing to do the work
Not
to get
really, exactly. Yeah. I mean, and then you look at people that have gotten money, born in money, and have done nothing with it as well. Like, just happy to
maintain.
Yeah, just
maintain.
Buy their nice cars, have their nice holidays, grow. Like, my old man, when he came from Lebanon, and he had some olive trees, and he said, I did this from nothing. And for him, his olive trees were my piccolinos now. Like, he was grow from that. I was given, he was just a laborer with absolutely nothing. And then he grew from that and made that. And like, how do you just have so much and then do nothing else with it? Beyond me.
Baffling, for sure. So, like, when you come home, because you're still working in the takeaway pizza shop at the moment, when you come home and you can see the fruits or the olives of your labor, to use a pun, how does it make you feel? Because, like, we're in your house now, sitting in your house is this beautiful home is a direct result of the sacrifice and the hard work. And
it's amazing. Sometimes you overlook it. Sometimes you forget to step back, smell the roses, as they say. But, when I do sit back and I look around, I think, you know what, it was good.
Worth it.
Yeah. I'm proud of myself, proud of my family for sticking by me and waiting for.
Yeah. It seems like your family is like a big asset that you had earlier on. What advice would you give to this generation for getting those type of relationships if they want to be on the same path of the entrepreneurial journey?
Look, you can easily say, find the right person, explain yourself from the start, your goals and your ambitions and what you want to do. Look, it's difficult. Saying is one thing, doing is another. As a woman, you go in there and she says, I want to do this. I won't say that a man's purely the one with the goals and ambitions. I know Jennifer's going to be the one in the relationships that's pushing for that success and drive. So she comes in and she's, I want to do this. I want to work 18 hours a day. I don't want to have a family just yet. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. I love your ideas. 2 years in the relationship and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're never home. What are you doing? So the idea is fantastic.
Yeah.
But when you're actually there doing it, sometimes it's difficult. So what can I say? How can you avoid that? It's difficult to say. Like I can't really, there is no real right or wrong. There is, but I can tell you one thing. In a relationship, sometimes giving up those goals and ambitions is nothing compared to losing your family.
Yep.
Yeah.
If not having this meant my wife and kids were a lot happier, then I'd give it up in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And I would dwell on it within myself. I would never sit out there anyone and say, you know what, I could have done this, I could have done that. No, you just move on. They're the cards you've been dealt and you just deal with it. And that's what sacrifice is. Sacrifice isn't just about making money or being successful. Sacrifice is also about giving to the people you love. And if that's the choice you've made and that's what she wants or he wants, and then you got to do it. You just have to bite the bullet and do what you can.
It's very interesting to me that you've been married since 22.
Yeah, right? So 28 years this year.
28 years. And to
big. It's as old as me.
Yeah, 28.
How old are you now, John?
Your age, buddy.
I'll be 50 this year.
50 this year.
But to find that person at the age of 22, like that sounds like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, like a 22-year-old now, you just look at him and...
I'll go back to saying that, I don't believe in luck. You make your own.
Yeah.
I was lucky.
I was just about to ask.
That's where I thought we were going to go with that one.
I was lucky. I was definitely lucky because we did not know each other for long. We didn't live with each other. We didn't go away together. It was, in this case, I'd say luck had a lot to do with it. Someone was looking over me.
Do you think it's that sharing of that immigrant mentality together?
Yeah, but it doesn't always work that way. A lot of people come from overseas and they're overwhelmed with the whole lifestyle we have here and the freedoms and the luxuries we have, and they get overwhelmed by that, and it doesn't always work. So she's a rock and she's solid, and to lose a child at 8 months old at 23 and she was able to.
Wow.
That is tough.
And still push through that.
Yeah.
And me never being there. The doctors were more comforting at the time than I was. And that's something I do regret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you cope with that? Going through what you did?
I don't know. I've got
was work the coping mechanism?
Yeah, it was for me. It was like I did what we did what we had to do, and we went through that. And pretty much the next day I was at work.
Wow.
So it was, and instead of working 12 hours that day, I worked 18 hours that day.
Yeah.
So
wow.
Yeah, it was an escape. It was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than dealing with it, I made money. So
yeah,
I turned the negative, if you want, into a positive, and so it was difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that's what's changed with time, like especially with this generation? Like we would dwell on things more than people did in the past?
Yeah, I think today's day and age is just too easy to jump those. It's too easy not to jump those hurdles. Right. It's easy to put your tail between your legs and say, "No, I can't do this."
Yeah.
And the people that they surround themselves with are comforting. Yeah, it's okay. You don't have to. You don't need to put up with that. Just, find something easier.
The plan B.
Yeah. It feels like most people these days have a disposable mindset. Like, if this person doesn't work out, then next person.
Exactly.
Or if this business doesn't work out, then next business.
Yeah.
Yeah. I blame the parents. I blame my generation. And I hear it a lot. I don't want my kids to go through what I went through. No, I don't want them to go through what I went through, but I want them to feel it.
Yeah.
I want them to understand it. I want them to see it, that it's not easy.
Yeah.
Life isn't easy. You're going to get thrown all sorts of stuff at you.
That's what makes you.
You need to move on.
Yeah.
Grow from that. Develop.
There's something to it because like my parents are also immigrants. They came here in like late 90s, and like my dad would tell me stories about like he was working in a factory and, you know, being a person of color, he would get racially abused every day, but he would just work through it.
Yeah.
Because like that's the only thing. Like there's no point dwelling.
No.
Didn't go to therapists, none of that stuff.
No,
you just had to go through it.
Yeah. Look, it's not right.
Yeah.
That what they had to go through. We went through, well, not me, but my siblings went through it. My parents went through it. They'd walk into pizza shops saying all sorts of stuff to them.
Yeah.
They'd get into fights on a regular basis because that was their mechanism, their defense mechanism. So it's not right. But at the same time, it's now you're too afraid to say anything to anyone. Like it's just, everything is,
it's gone too much the opposite
I'm the
side.
least racist person in the world. Honestly, it doesn't bother me. Color, creed, religion. As long as you're a good person, that is the main thing.
Yeah.
And you have the right mindset in life and you do the right thing by yourself as well as to others. I don't care. But do I make stupid comments all the time? Yeah, I do. It doesn't mean, I don't mean anything by it. Whereas now is you just got to be so careful. I mean, I grew up taking a falafel to school, like, you know what I mean? And I was laughed at all the time. It's like, yeah, whatever, mate. Like it's,
tastes good.
Now everyone eats falafel.
Times have changed.
So it's definitely, and like I said, I blame the parents. I blame my generation and maybe the generation a little bit before me, for that reason.
Yeah.
You don't need to put up with that. No, you don't have to, but at the same time, you're growing. You know, my kids come to me when they were at school. Oh, this happened, that happened. Yeah, whatever. Did they physically hurt you? No. You know what? Learn from it. You're going to be dealt with those sort of cars rather than protecting them all the time. Like, I'm not saying it's right. Don't get me wrong. Like, no one needs to be belittled in that way, regardless of their race, religion. You want to be vegan, vegetarian, whatever it is, that's fine. You know, everyone has the right to be what they want. That's the beauty of where we live.
Yeah.
But depending on how it's coming across as well. Like, so I don't know. It's, we are definitely a softer world we live in now.
I think on an individual level, what's the alternative? Like, if you just play the victim card, as you said, it's not right for people to belittle you and take the piss out of you and all those kinds of things. Sometimes it's mean, but on an individual point of view, what's your alternative? Just to sit there and do nothing? Like, you have to be able to take it, cop it on the chin, and
well, one thing I learned from
on.
My mentor Joe as well, my brother, and he says if you really want to get back at your enemy or the people that have belittled you or mocked you, it's through success.
Envy.
Just buy the company they work for and fire them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, basically, I mean,
too far.
Yeah. No.
Just wants to see a bird.
But I mean, that could be one inspiration.
Yeah.
Something you could take from that. You know what? If you're at school, and my brother, who dropped out before year 10, one of my brothers, when he was in year 8 or year 9, he was ridiculed by this teacher for a number of reasons. I mean, he wasn't the smartest, sharpest tool in the shed, but he was a hard worker. He was solid. Like he had great work ethic. And he had other skills other than sitting in a classroom. But this teacher used to, you're a nothing. And back then he was like, they used to use every word under the sun. It's like, you're this, you're that, you're going to be nothing. You know, the first thing he did when he turned 18, after, like, he dropped out in year 10, he worked hard. He drove his Jag to school.
No way. Really?
Yeah. He drove his Jaguar. To me, that's not right. I've never really cared about what other people thought.
Yeah.
But for him, that was his way of showing his teacher that, you know, maybe I'm not going to be a doctor or an engineer or an accountant, but I'm something. And he drove his jet that he fully paid for. It wasn't on lease. He drove his white Jag, which ended up costing him a fortune to keep running. But, you know, like, you can use that and that's the best way to get people. You don't need to fight them. You don't need to argue with them.
Yeah.
So I am something, whether I'm white, brown, Asian, whatever, doesn't matter. I'm something, and I've created something, and I've changed lives.
Yeah. You know, as a parent, you really don't want, I think the reason why, you know, some parents will not want their kids to go through what they went through is because they don't like seeing their kids struggle, like go through that pain. Yeah. So like, what's that fine balance of like not protecting them as much, but also exposing them to the world?
Yeah.
I think you need to, first of all, work out what kind of a child you have. I think it's very important. A lot of kids, you give, and they want more. Some kids, you give them the world and they're still pushing for more.
Yeah.
A lot of my friends or kids that have worked for me have struggled to buy their own cars, even though their parents are quite wealthy, whereas they'd go out there, buy their own cars. So I think it's important to work out your child. I bought my kids cars, nice cars, and I don't regret it for a second. Doesn't mean that they have smashed these cars and, you know, burnt them and, you know, not respected them. They respect every bit of that car. And, you know, they come home with a bit of a scratch on it. They're in tears. They're just shattered because they know how hard we've all worked to get there. Maybe they didn't work hard physically, but mentally they worked a lot harder than I had to work. So I think it's important to know your child, know what they are and what they aren't. I don't think not giving them is the way to teach them. I don't think that's the way. I think through your own mindset and the way you do things and the way you work at home and around them, I think is the best way to teach them. Like I said, there is no right and wrong. And don't get me wrong, I'm not here to say that my recipe will suit everyone.
Yeah.
It suited me and my family. It worked out. It could have quite easily turned the other way had I had the wrong partner, the wrong person with me.
I've heard a lot of people say, especially like business owners, they say that their business is like a child to them. What kind of relationship did you have with your restaurant?
It was everything to me. Yeah. It was, it was like one of my kids, probably my favorite.
Your daughter sitting on that table over there is just like, this guy, man.
She knew.
Yeah.
She
knew the answer, by the way.
But, you know, she's the first person to say he was right. Yeah. You know, and in her introduction, it says it all. And there's no filter with me, with my family. Now, even when they were all babies, I didn't do that. It was like talking to them straight out. Like, it's like that. Not because I was harsh. It's because this is life. Like, you're not going to be for your rest of your life. It's not.
Yeah.
And they understand it. They respect it. And maybe sometimes I do go a bit overboard, but yeah, it probably was my favorite purely because they are the world to me. And if that shop, that restaurant, that business wasn't my favorite, we wouldn't be able to do what we've done.
Yeah.
They wouldn't be able to be where they're at.
So there's a question that's been in my head, from like seeing how hard you've worked to build a business and maintain it. What was it like selling it?
Difficult. Really hard. But going back to saying it was my favorite, which it was that or my family. If I could have run that business without them suffering the way they were suffering, then yeah, I would have kept it. Do I regret selling it? No, because seeing the relief on their faces and myself mentally was worth every second of signing those documents. Yeah, do I miss it a little bit? Someone said to me the other day, so when's the next business venture? I said, nah, I'm done. I'm finished. What do you mean? Like, you've got so much if I wanted to keep it, if I wanted a business venture, there was no better business than that. I knew I built it from the ground up. Why would I get rid of that and start again at 50 and go through everything I went through? No, that's it. I'm happy where I am. It's good.
Just to clarify, you had Piccolino's, the restaurant, dine-in,
Yep.
And Piccolino's Express, which is the takeaway, which you still own.
Correct. Yeah. Well, originally everything ran out of Express.
Yep.
And then when we opened the restaurant, I intentionally ran them as two separate entities. Everyone thought I was crazy, running two separate kitchens, two separate pizza sections, staffing. But I always do two ABNs. It was separate entity altogether. One was Piccolino's Express. The other one was Piccolino's Restaurant.
Yeah.
Based on the fact that I will eventually sell the restaurant or Express, one or the other. I opted to keep Express because it's just a lot easier to run.
Yep.
The restaurant, plus I own the property.
Right. So you're still getting rent from that.
Yeah. So, and that was the key. That was my super. That was my retirement package. So.
And the building that you've built can be repurposed for any type of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of people say, sorry to cut you off. A lot of these guys say to me, I say when they go broke, which they won't. They're good operators. They know what they're doing and they'll run a successful business. Not the way I would have, but they're running it. They'll do okay. Will you go back and take it over? Hell no. No. Because like you just said, that could be anything.
Yeah.
That could be your next Chinese restaurant. That could be your next Indian restaurant, Sri Lankan.
Which is Italian. Why I like the design of it. Like the design of it is timeless.
Yeah.
You can.
Were the new owners like people that you had a say in choosing, or did they just come up to you and?
I had it with an agent.
Yeah.
So, a business agent who sells businesses, obviously. He sourced them out. It was actually quite difficult to sell because everyone thought I was Piccolino's.
Yeah, right.
So,
like your name was Piccolino's?
No, that.
Thanks, G.
I guess.
Okay, we're done now.
Wrap it up.
John
He just dropped if you can't see him, he just dropped the mic. So. I was the face of Piccolino's. So
business didn't run without you.
It was difficult to sell because they thought once I was out, these guys actually saw the positives that I was next door, that I was at their beck and call, as you would say. So they saw the positives rather than the negatives, which was a smart thing to do. Because
do you operate as an advisor to them at all, or they operate entirely on their own and you're just next door and they just come, hey, John, please help me? Yeah,
pretty much was that, which is annoying because by the time they ask me, John, can you help me? It's too late. The damage is done.
Yeah.
They had an incident a couple of weeks back. I won't go into detail about it, but they came to see me afterwards. So it's too late. Like, if you had told me before you implemented this idea, I would have told you it's wrong. I know the business. I know the customers. I know the way it works. I know the kitchen.
Yeah.
It just cannot be done. And they said, oh, why didn't you tell the chef? I said, I can't overrule your decision. You've told your chef this is what you want done. Your chef's come to me, so I can only help him with your idea. Try to make it as simple as possible. But I can't tell him your bosses don't know what they're saying. Come to me before you go to your staff. Then we can work together with the staff to come up with the concept or the idea.
This is an odd dynamic. I feel like you should be getting an advisor fee or something. Or equity or something.
Like I said,
what is happening here?
For me, success is everything. And it's not just for me, it's for the people around me. I've advised young guys, push them out of my business because I felt it's time for them to do their own thing.
Yeah.
They needed to, and I love it. I love walking into a shop and saying, this is my idea. This is my concept.
Yeah.
Tomorrow you guys through this, you pick up another 100, partners from it, then I've done my job. It's not about me. I've done my bit. I'm done. I'm not looking to milk the people that are trying to get through. It's my job to actually help them.
Have you always been that giving? And
I think so, but you can only burn me once. That's
a
guy came to clean my windows the other day and I didn't ask him how much he wanted because I know how much a window cleaner is. I go, yeah, just go for it, mate. He goes, you're not going to ask how much it is. I go, mate, you can only rip me off once. Next time you come back to clean my windows, I'll tell you where to go. So do a good job, ask for a decent money, and you come back and do it again. It's very simple.
Is he coming back to clean your windows again?
Yeah.
Well done.
Mr. Window Cleaner, man. You did well.
Yeah,
Good job.
No,
So,
trust is everything.
I am, but you can only burn me once.
Yeah.
And I've been burnt plenty of times. Don't get me wrong. Like, but it doesn't matter. I don't do it. I do it a little bit because of my arrogance or my will to see other people grow through my idea or my words of wisdom.
Makes you feel good.
Yeah, it does. It does.
What do you do to bounce back from those times you've been burnt?
It doesn't matter. They don't.
It's
frustrating.
Yeah.
It's annoying, but I don't dwell on it.
Yeah.
It's actually probably worse for them, right?
Yeah, it is, because a lot of those people end up getting burnt themselves one way or another.
Yeah.
Well, it's like one of my kids. They've got an endless well of knowledge, not because I'm great. It's because I paid for this knowledge. I tell my kids all the time, people go see advisors, consultants. Half these people haven't even experienced what they're talking about. And they're paying good money for these ideas. I paid for these ideas.
Yep.
They cost me money. I've lost thousands of dollars to learn what I've learned.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not everything was rainbows and
like to learn it, but also to put it into practice as well.
It's like it cost me money.
So different. Yeah.
So many people on the internet, they make money from giving ideas, not from actually creating a similar business and then being able to teach some of the lessons they learned.
Yeah.
So it's like people build a course on how to trade. That's their moneymaker, not actually trading.
Yeah.
You're like, hold up.
Yeah.
I don't really dwell on it. It's each to their own. If you've just burnt someone that's prepared to, like, I got a guy that was my manager in a restaurant for 4.5 years and he's ready to move on. And mate, I said, if you need a chef in the morning to cook bacon and eggs for you I'm there. Like, suppliers, wholesalers, and I don't make a kickback off any of that. Like, they get the best prices because a lot of my suppliers don't want to burn me. So I'll call them and I'll say, look, this guy's going to buy off you. Make sure he gets the best possible price you can give him.
How much do you value goodwill?
Depending on who's buying it. Like, goodwill is only good. It's exactly what it is, goodwill. And that will is that person that's running their business. So look, it's a base. It's something you don't have to run the first 6 months without making $1. You're making money from the get-go. What you do with it after that is entirely up to you.
I meant it more in sense like you're the type of person that's always giving, and you're building that reputation for yourself of, I'm not in it to like rip you off. I'm in it because I genuinely want to help you.
It's hard to find the people that believe that.
Right.
Like, going back to the certain people, I won't say who they are. They just hesitate to ask you because they think there's something behind it. Like, this doesn't make sense. And that's only because they're not like that.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
You can only feel that someone has a negative feel or intention. It's because deep down inside, that's what you have.
Yeah, that's so true.
You can only understand that. I can't comprehend it. I can't understand how someone's here to help me, but they're here to rip me off. It doesn't make sense to me because I don't feel that way. But when someone thinks, it doesn't make sense, it's because it doesn't make sense because you're that way. Deep down inside, you may not admit it or know it, but deep down inside, that's the way you are. You're thinking of, okay, this guy's going to make X amount. How can I benefit from that as well?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So it's important to me. It's important to the person. I won't change. I don't think I ever will. Yep. If I did, I probably would be bigger and better than what I am now if I was that kind of person.
What does the reputation mean to you as well then?
Everything. Yeah. It's not so much for me, but it's for my family.
Yeah.
I can walk into any building, any room, any place, see guys I haven't seen in 20 years and have a conversation with them like I saw them yesterday because I owe them nothing. I've done nothing wrong by them. And if I have, then I apologize. You should have told me there and then that there was an issue and then I would have fixed it.
Yep.
But yeah, my reputation is important for my family. I'm doing what I'm doing now because you're all friends with Jennifer. And I like your ideas. I like your concept. And I wish you all the best.
Well, we definitely appreciate jumping on the podcast.
It's good. It's been fun.
And just a relationship in general.
I
think one thing that has always interested me in hospitality businesses is the difference between like customer service, the idea of it, and hospitality itself. Customer service being, the waiter goes up to someone and just does their job. Hospitality, in Danny Meyer's definition of the feeling that you give to a customer.
100%.
How do you implement that into your business?
Look, we're mammals. Basically an intelligent animal as a human being. So we work off our senses and our vibes the same way an animal does in the jungle. That's the way I interpret it. Obviously, we speak, we walk, we talk, we're intelligent enough. So that vibe, that feeling, your clients can feel it.
Yeah.
They know it. When you walk up to the table, say, good afternoon, sir, this is your menu. I'm your waiter for the evening. I'm John. Let me know when you're ready. And you walk off. Different when you walk up to a table, say, hey guys, how you going? John, great to have you here tonight. And it's different when you're reading it. And then it's like you guys sitting here right now, or me sitting here with a thing and I'm just reading off cards. It's that feeling and people know.
Yeah.
People, when I was working with my brother, who was very intense, very strung, like when he was busy, everybody knew he was busy.
Yeah.
And he would be flying. He was one of those old Ramsay chef guys. Like he'd be flying off the handle. People would walk in. It's like, geez, it's like, oh, hi, how you going? No, that's not right. Like it's different when you walk in and that vibe, that feeling, that warmth. The head waiter walks up to you and says, hey guys, how you going? How's everything for tonight? And you feel that genuine, how you going? How you feel? That's hospitality.
Yeah.
And you can't teach that.
Some people just got it.
Yeah. You can train till you're blue in the face. You can have hours and hours. Say hello again. Say hello again. It's just not in them. And to find those people is the hard part. But there are people out there.
Yeah. 100%.
And it's not necessarily people that want to be in hospitality the rest of their life. It's just their nature. It's just the way they are. Jennifer's got this smile on her, which is amazing. And she was born for hospitality. But also you need to have skin like leather. Like you need to read people. You need to be able to read them. Not everybody wants that smiley waiter that comes around and wants to tell you about his weekend.
Absolutely.
Some guys want to just take my order, move on.
Leave me alone.
Yeah. I'm here with my missus. I'm here with my family. Just funny enough, I was that kind of person.
Yeah.
Maybe because I'm so entitled. I'm not to that extent. Like It was nice to have that, hey, how you going? But it's like, you don't have to come over every 5 minutes and tell me how's my meal going.
Yeah.
I'm eating it. So obviously it's okay. Like you need to be able to draw the line. Like some people aren't made for it.
Yeah.
Hospitality is a tough gig. Tough gig.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we're currently in 2023. And we've just, come out of like a big global pandemic, which has affected a lot of hospitality businesses. How do you see hospitality changing pre-COVID to post-COVID?
A lot of people are using COVID as an excuse, but excuse my language, you're an arsehole's an arsehole.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, post-COVID, pneumonia, with a cold, cancer. You get a cancer patient who smiles and happy, even though they know they're going to die at any moment. And then you get another person with a common cold who wants to treat the world like it owes them everything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's an arsehole is an arsehole. Sorry, kid.
You can do
No,
it.
you can do whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you shouldn't have said that. You shouldn't have said that.
Just been cancelled. We'll see how far we can push it.
Look, it is. I got customers like expecting the world, but we had customers like that before COVID.
Yeah.
Are there more of them because they feel they're more entitled? Was it COVID? It was because people feel they're more entitled.
Yeah.
So it's either. But it is harder. Definitely is harder. Or maybe I'm just become more impatient. I don't know.
Is there a different way of doing or running a business now? Because, especially in restaurants, some of them have like QR codes where a waiter doesn't even have to come and talk to you.
Yeah, something I never wanted to implement, that we implemented it just before we sold, was something called Hungry, where you're sitting at the table and you can just order online, and the docket comes through the system. That's not hospitality.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And I was
connection.
I was waitering one night, which I never did often, but it was fun for me because I'd pick and choose. So I could sort of, these guys are going to be fun. I'll talk to them. These guys are a bit strung up. I'll just leave them alone.
Yeah.
So I went to this table and they go, "Oh, sorry, but do we have to use these? Are you serious?"
Yeah.
There you go. What's going on?
Yeah.
And it's just like, and thank Christ. Like, it's hospitality. Like, that's why we come out.
Yeah.
Some people don't mind them. This generation, definitely it's the thing to do. Because like most people sit at the table now, and it's not because of COVID. It's social media.
Yeah.
They sit at the sorry to knock social media. I know it's a big thing.
People use it right. It works.
Yeah.
People
they sit with their families, like, or their girlfriends or their partners, and they're just on their phone. And the only time they look up is to order.
Yeah.
And even then they seem annoyed. Like, you just got me off my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for this generation, the way things are going, it's the way to go, unfortunately.
What do you think about like robots being implemented into restaurants now? Like, we're still in early stages.
Believe me, some of the staff I've had, they're pretty much robots. They are robots, but with emotions, and which is bad. If I'm going to get served by, at least don't have any emotion. So yeah.
just a pissed off robot.
Every place is different. Every restaurant is different. You go to a certain place because you're expecting a certain thing.
Yeah.
So would I implement that, the original Piccolinos, when I first started? No chance in the world. Would I have Hungry online ordering? No chance in the world. I did, excuse me, because that's the way it was going. That's the way things are. Will that be a thing? Yeah, it probably will be. Probably is already in some countries. Would I do it? No.
Yep.
20 years from now, would I do it? No. I'd have that restaurant where someone came in and wanted to sit down and talk about the footy, talk about the cricket, talk about the earthquake in Turkey. Like, you know what I mean? That's hospitality.
Yeah.
For me, that will always be hospitality. What you're talking about is customer service.
Yeah.
Different
Absolutely.
things altogether.
Yeah.
It's also important you adapt with the times.
Yeah, you have to. But you need to not lose scope of what you're trying to achieve and the kind of businesses that you're trying to run. What you guys are trying to do, you need to find that scope. You're not going to have a guy in a penguin outfit serving bubble cup. You know what I mean? So you need to stick to that scope. You need to stick to what you're doing. Yeah. Sorry, I just got one extreme to another.
I'm with you.
Would a robot come and serve you bubble cup? Maybe.
Yeah.
Because Gami, the Korean fried chicken place, they started using robot servers now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Here?
Yeah. So there's one in Glen Waverley Shopping Centre, and everything is just delivered on a robot.
Wow.
No people.
Yeah. I wouldn't go out there for a romantic dinner for two, for example.
It was really weird experiencing
it.
it.
Something with R2D2. I don't know.
Well, I'm interested. Your daughter is sitting just over there. I'm very interested. Jen, have you had a question about the business or just something that you've wanted to have your dad in front of a camera to answer a question? Have you got any kind of like hard-hitting questions you want to ask? I'm throwing you on the spot. I apologize, but so Jen's question was, after selling the restaurant, can you still continue to live the lifestyle, maintain the lifestyle that you currently have? Yeah.
Yep. the reason why she's probably asking me this, because they've always wanted me to buy my dream car, which is a Hellcat.
Nice.
Yeah. So to answer that question, yeah, I can and I could, but I choose not to, purely for the fact that to take the business to the next level or my lifestyle to the next level meant I needed to sacrifice another 5 to 10 years in the restaurant. And I wasn't prepared to face the consequences of what may or may not have happened during that time. So at the end of the day, yes and no. I won't buy a Hellcat purely for the financial aspect of having $250,000 sitting in a car to drive for half an hour a week.
Wow.
Is, I'd rather put that money towards you buying an investment property or starting your idea.
I think she wants you to buy it.
No, the car.
Yeah, the car. Yeah.
No, they do. They keep pushing towards it, but yeah, it's not on my agenda now. It's not the be all. It would be nice, but it's not something I inspire and not something I would regret later on not doing. There's a possibility that it may or may not happen. It doesn't really matter. I met a guy on the weekend. Not met him. I've known this guy for a while at the wedding that we went to, and he sold a fantastic cafe, Docklands, just pre-COVID. Took it from, next to nothing to a booming business. 5 days a week. He was killing it. And I said, Dave, what'd you sell it for? He goes, I wanted to be the guy that told the story, not be the story.
Mm.
And I thought,
wow,
that was amazing. Like sometimes that ride comes to an end. It could be in a good way. It could be in a bad way. And for David, he was basically, I want to tell the story of how great it was, like what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
Rather than be the story. You remember that guy that had the thing and look what happened to him?
Yeah.
So for me, Piccolino's restaurant, I wouldn't say hit its peak. I reckon there was a lot more it could have done. I mean, we were only doing dinners. There was lunches there was functions, weekends, days, cafe style thing. There was a lot of things that we could have moved to. But yeah, I wouldn't say I was burnt out, but my family was far more important.
Yep.
Time was up.
So now it's time for me to tell the story. And
why don't we get Dave on a podcast?
Oh,
if he wants to tell the story.
Yeah, he'll tell you a story.
So to wrap it up, I did have a last question based on that. So is that where you're at right now in life? Like just to spend time with your family?
Yeah, I'm looking at winding down, which is one of the reasons why I won't buy a Hellcat. I don't need more bills.
Yeah.
I need to wind down. I need to start enjoying it. My eldest is getting married in September. I want to be able to go spend time there later on. Hopefully, God willing, she has children. We spend time with grandkids. Keep this house for as long as I can for them. To be able to. I never got to enjoy my kids at that age. Now I get to enjoy them, and it's time to not close the book, but slowly turn those pages a little bit slower. That's all.
Start a new chapter.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's good.
Well said.
Everyone got new. Oh, sorry. Did you want to finish?
Hope it's inspired someone somewhere.
Absolutely.
Oh,
for
sure.
definitely
Has,
anyway.
yeah.
100%.
And just to reiterate, my thing didn't work for me. Doesn't necessarily, and I don't want people to think, but this, but that. I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Everything all the cards fell in the right place and it worked out. So yeah, don't think that this is gospel. This is the way it's got to be.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much. All right. Did you want to wrap up? Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you made it all the way through, you would have taken a lot of beautiful pieces from John's story.
Thank you.
John, again, thank you for talking to us.
My pleasure.
Thank you from the introduction to Joel. And Joel actually worked for you and his friends with Jen, and that's how we that's how we connected. So we very much appreciate those relationships. And please make sure that you watch the previous video that is on the screen now, and we will see you in the next one.
Pack her up.
Pack her up.
That's it.
You got to say pack her up.
Back her up.